Hello, CIS40B. In this video, I'm going to go over the course orientation. Sorry for the delay. I just received access to the course room in Canvas. So we'll talk about the course requirement and what we have to do in this class. So as you access Canvas, you will be able to find our syllabus, which is located in the first module. And you can view the information on the syllabus. In this course, we are going to go over routers and switches in the network and overall specifically working with Cisco devices and looking at some of the protocols that are being used in switches and routers and how to troubleshoot them in the case of network communication and looking at IP addresses and virtual local area network. This is an online class. You are not required to have any kind of meetings. So everything is going to be completed in Canvas. I set up my Canvas module to be weekly, and we are going to use test out for the course. In order to enroll in this class, you are required to complete CIS40A, which covers the foundation for network or network fundamentals. So in this class, we're going to talk about local area network design, how to work with the switches, looking at switch configuration and management implementation. So to configure switch settings in command line, and also setting up virtual local area network or VLANs, and how VLANs can be used for segmentation for security purposes or to be able to create separate or subnetworks, and to think about the design for VLAN and using trunking and configuration for VLANs. We also cover routing, and we will touch on different type of protocols for routers, how we can configure the routers, working with the command line interface in order to store some of the settings or input some of the commands in order to have settings saved to the routers. And then to be able to use virtual local area network or VLAN with routing, that's known as the inter-VLAN, and looking at layer 3 and higher switching. And in those switches, you would see that they are able to route. And so we would look at how those switches are being used as routers. And then we are also going to configure 802.1q trunk-based inter-VLAN routing. A lot of this is commonly used in a regular network environment, so it's good to have some basic foundation from this class. And the next two areas is going to be static and dynamic routing, how we can set static route where it can be sent through a specific way or specific routers. With that, we would need to configure IP addresses. And then also looking at dynamic routing. So with dynamic routing, the routers are able to handle that depending on the configuration. So it can calculate distance vector, how far it is from the source to the destination, or looking at link state, and then how to be able to view and modify the routing table. And for the next part, in this class, we're going to cover open shortest path first, which is OSPF. And there are different versions of OSPF, so we will take a look at how OSPF can be configured and how that can be implemented in routing. And then we'll touch into access control lists in the device communication with the IP addresses. So we can filter some of the IP addresses based on IPv4 and IPv6. And then we will look at some restrictions and be able to verify certain type of IP address that can be routed in how we want to set up the rules for our routing. Then we also touch on dynamic host control protocol or configuration protocol. This is going to be for dynamic IP addressing to give out IP addresses to our subnet or our network, and using NAT operation in our network environment. So network address translation with version 4 IP and how to configure NAT and troubleshooting NAT. So overall, this is going to give you a higher level of network information and knowledge or concept in how to look at the local area network along with the wireless and the WAN. So the learning outcome from this class is to be able to implement and describe switching concepts, switching technologies, and routing operations. So we are going to learn more about switching and routing compared to CIS40A, and also looking at the type of hardware or appliances that we're going to be working with, like switch, router, and different layer switches. And then how to work with VLANs or virtual LAN with trunking protocols, and to use command line interface to configure our systems, along with setting up different type of routing such as static and dynamic route for the network. So the materials that we're going to be using in this class is going to be test out. The reason for this is it would be more convenient for you to be able to have lab exercises that will be readily available online. And this resource is available to you. So what I did was I enabled temporary access for the 2 weeks, but I will be sending you email with the access code so you can activate your license for the actual course Routing Switching Pro. And as far as class procedure, I do accept late assignments since this is a very short in a session, 6 weeks, and we did lose a few days at the beginning due to access and an instructor change. However, your assignments is due as the noted date on Canvas. Usually most assignments are due at the end of the week, but we do have some offset with the class being started late. So I made some changes in the due date where it is due a week after it's assigned. But if you submit the assignment a week late, there will be 10% deduction, 2 weeks late, 20% deduction of the earned grade. And after 2 weeks, I prefer not to accept the assignment as this is a 6-week course. For our class, you will have assignments, and most of this is going to be done through test out. So usually I would assign practice questions as assignments, and that will be categorized under the assignments. You will have some practice exam, one practice exam at the end that will be available from week 3 through week 6. And that is also being done through test out. Your quizzes and final exam will be via Canvas. Likely that your final exam will be using Lockdown Browser. I have to take a look at the limitations with Lockdown Browser as some students were having issues with this in the prior semester. But the quiz and the final exam will be released on Canvas. Quizzes, you do have 3 attempts. The best score of the 3 will be recorded. Final exam, I do not take final exam that is late. So make sure that you look at the announcement and also the due date for the final. Final exam is timed, and it's usually 50 questions, multiple choice. So you will be able to attempt the final exam with the allocated time. If you need additional accommodation, make sure you reach out to Student Services, DSS, and in order to request accommodation for extra time. However, final exam is going to be due. I usually open the final exam at the beginning of the week for week 6, and it will close on Thursday. There will not be any allowance for late final exam. There will be opportunities for you to do extra credit. Extra credit is added to your overall course grade at the end in the needed area. So if you have missed some of the lab exercises or the assignments, or even some points on the final exam or other areas, that will be added to offset or help you lift up your grade, and it never exceeds 7% of your overall grade. So don't rely on extra credit to be able to get through the course, but use the extra credit to help you improve your grade in the area if your grade is at the border of a letter grade, like between a B and an A, very close to an A, this is going to help you boost your grade. For the grade categories, 10% of the grade is going to be for quizzes, 35% of your grade is going to be for assignments and participation, 20% of your grade is going to be on lab activities, 15% of your grade is going to be on the practice exam, and routing and switching practice exam is based on the CCNA practice exam. So if you want to pursue that down the line, it's also good to have the access to the practice exam to prepare for your Cisco certification. Final exam is going to be 20%, and altogether we have 100%. For attendance and participation, if a student doesn't participate in our online class for 2 consecutive weeks, I do reserve the right to drop the student. If the student wishes to drop the course, the student needs to do so before the deadline of the college. So usually that's for the intersession, that's within the first 2 weeks. So after that, it's going to become a withdrawal or a W, or in some cases it will be if the student doesn't participate or submit any work, that could also result in a failure grade. So make sure we pay attention to the drop deadline in the case that if we want to drop. If you are absent or if you're unable to participate in one of the weeks or something had happened, make sure you communicate with me via Canvas message or email. Any kind of behavior issues, including cheating, I will oblige by the college policy, so that will get reported to Student Services, and it will be advised with the Academic Affairs Dean, along with receiving the appropriate grade, sometime removal from the course. And in some cases, it could be more drastic. So make sure that if you're having problems, please let me know. If there's conflict with other students, make sure that we communicate that, and I will try to help you resolve the conflict in the case that happens. For accessibility, this is the information and the link to accessibility department. So you can request accommodation from the SPS. You can also visit Moreno Valley campus in the library building, room 221, or call. So you can go to the website or visit the physical location or call for accommodation. Once the form is completed, I will be able to accommodate the student after I receive the letter from the SPS. Here is my contact information. For the summer, I mostly work remotely, so I will not be able to answer my phone. However, if you do leave a voicemail, that will be forwarded to my email. The best way to reach me is via Canvas message or email. I am very responsive, and I will try to answer all your messages within 24 hours. So if you have any questions, you can send messages. You can also post a discussion thread in the Q&A discussion in our course room. Or if you wish to meet with me, we can make an appointment based on availability, and I will be able to let you know what my availability would be, and we can set up a Zoom appointment. So this is a way that you can contact me. So let me know if you have any questions or concern throughout the course. So you can find the syllabus information in the Canvas course room. I also have a planned schedule, and this is just a lot of time it can be modified, so you can go through it and take a look at what's needed for each week. And as I modify, I will update this. I've provided some course resources information. There is some test out information, Cisco Academy and CCNA certification, and Cisco CyberOps. So if you're interested in this area, Cisco Academy is free to the student. So if you haven't had access to Cisco Academy, you can also sign up with your RCCD email account. This will also give you access to great resources, packet tracer, and additional tools that you can use for training purposes. And for test out access for this class, I provided the temporary access information there, but that will be expired within 2 weeks for our course. So if you are accessing test out, you can refer to the page. You will be receiving a permanent code for our class. And so make sure that you check your email and use that code to validate your license. And so this concludes my video for the course orientation. Please watch the next video regarding week 1 task and how to go about completing week 1 materials on test out, along with some of the things that we have to do, such as discussion and so on.